All right, this is Docendo Discumus number 43. Today is January 11th, by the way. And again, if you should be aware also based on the Thinker's Almanac that January 11th has to do with a book that was published by Malcolm Gladwell that has to do with the way that we think. And there's a couple concepts called thin slicing, the Warren Harding effect, the halo effect. Those are all concepts that help us understand the way we think, the way we relate to others. So make sure and read those. So back to Docendo. Let's take a look at our sentence here. The muddy tracks leading to and from the cookie jar were enough to incriminate them. So we have an adjective here, muddy tracks. We have an adjective, we have a noun. We don't typically put commas to separate those two, do we? So there's no need for a comma there. Students tend to throw commas in indiscriminately. Again, know why you're putting a comma there, and if the comma has no purpose, then it shouldn't be there. The muddy tracks leading to and from. Here's another example. We have a compound conjunction here, but we don't need it, do we? Because we're not connecting to independent clauses. We're just connecting two words to prepositions to and from. The muddy tracks leading to and from the cookie jar were enough. I think we've seen this before. We're using a contraction here, and we're not saying we are. We are simply using the plural, referring to the plural of tracks, right? So the muddy tracks leading to and from the cookie jar were enough to incriminate them. So our word is incriminate. That's a verb. You can probably guess that that has to do with crime, obviously. So to show evidence or involvement of a crime. And then the other word here is discriminate, which has to do with distinguishing between things. Again, typically we think of discriminate as a negative, but we have to discriminate against things other than the negative contexts, negative connotations of it too. Whenever we, for example, go in and we are picking various products, we have to discriminate between different types of toothpaste to decide which is the best one to purchase, right? Okay, so we got rid of commas because we didn't need them. The muddy tracks leading to and from the cookie jar were enough to incriminate them. So we have a basic subject here. The tracks, adjective, it modifies it, tells what kind of tracks, muddy. We have basically the verb here, were enough. Going back to previous words, could you tell me what an adjective is that means never having happened before? How about another adjective that's related to it that means having developed certain abilities at an earlier age than usual? That's a hint. That word comes from the French, having to do with fruit that has been ripened early. So you might think, well, both of these have to do with pre, something before. Remember, unprecedented, never having happened before, and precocious. Okay, and then building on our ideas here for syntax, lesson 4. So we've talked about basic sentences, basic simple sentences, kernel sentences. We've talked about expanding sentences, adjectives and adverbs. We talked about expanding subjects, expanding predicates into compound predicates and compound subjects. Well, we do something often in our sentences, obviously, and we use all kinds of phrases that are called prepositional phrases. So when you think of preposition phrases, think about added details about where, when something happened. And we have all these words that we don't pay much attention to because they're so obvious, but they obviously help us talk about positions of things and when things happened and where things happened. And what we do is we couple those words with nouns to create prepositional phrases. So where did it happen? In the kitchen. How did it happen? By presidential order. Where is it? It's on the desk. When did it happen? Before school, over the mountain, behind the house, with lettuce and tomato. These are phrases that are just added details. And again, we use them all the time, and obviously we use them in many ways to expand our sentences. So take a look at this long sentence. I think this is a sentence from Nathaniel Hawthorne. A throng of bearded men in sad colored garments and gray steepled crowned hats, intermixed with women, some wearing hoods and others bareheaded, was assembled in front of a wooden edifice, the door of which was heavily timbered with oak and studded with iron spikes. So just notice all these phrases in here that are adding details. Well, they're telling us more about the door. It's with iron spikes. You're talking about the crowd with women, telling us that women are there also. Where is this happening? In front of a wooden edifice. So it's in front of a wooden building. So you notice how this sentence is about a group of people that have gathered, but they're telling us all kinds of added details about them using prepositional phrases. And again, we do that all the time. We may not be aware of it, but it's one thing that will help us expand sentences with details. And it'll also help us when we have a long sentence like this. We know that these are not essential elements of the sentence. The essential element is the throng. And then, of course, we want to find the predicate there. So you should know prepositional phrases. And if you have any questions about that, bring that up in class. And that is lesson 4 for today's Docendo number 43. See you next time.